Good morning, and this is a presentation on design-based planning, an approach to policy for the organization of built in villages through the case of Dujana. This presentation is being done by Anand Khatri and Anjura Khatri. Now, the whole idea is that a village grows over time. The built and the open in the villages are such multi-layered impressions that any intervention in the built cannot be dealt without customization. The whole process of a village development, which extends for over 50,000 years, if I may say, because most of the villages that are around are carrying the imprints of human development, or maybe if not 50,000 years, 1,000 years, 600 years, 500 years, at least many multiple times of the urban that we see today. When urban is so complex, a village is complexer, and hence it is something that requires a customized intervention. That is how we approach the subject of policy through design based planning, something which the CNU had so much advocated. In this paper, we discuss the language of design, how much and up to what area can design extend itself and deal with a space and with a set of people. What are we doing? We are making a few comparisons to understand the size of a village and the size of a design template. We also must understand as architects and as people who are engaged in a creative field what is the strength of design. In fact, policy stands very unarmed in front of design, and it has such less to offer as compared to the complex output and the clear output and the considerate output to which an architect's mind is trained to work. We are trained to work with such complications through so many considerations. The design is actually, it becomes a research and it becomes the forte for providing solutions to everything that is so complex. Now, while understanding the scale of design, we tried to make a comparison in between, families in Katputli, the size of a unit per family in terms of the total built-up area of Katputli, including it could be called a super built-up area, including the roads and houses and the open spaces and everything. And we tried to make a comparison of the same with a few different villages to try and have an idea as to what was the overall FAR of a village as compared to the overall FAR of Supertech Cape Town, as compared to the overall FAR of a sector in Noida where I stay, Sector 52, as compared to a few villages like Durai, Raghunathpur, Kolonda, and Dujana. When we do this, we realize that each of this village has got an FAR of much less than 1. I must even say that in some cases, it is less than zero point 0.2 also. And while in the case of Supertech Cape Town, it is 2.75, the FAR is so high. It's so densified. So a village is a very, very open setting. And since it's an open setting, it also has got an ease of being maneuvered very with comfort by a design tool, using design as a tool. And as per the projection of census to 2021, when we look at the family size with about 4.5 to 5 to about 8, then we realize that the number of households is also very less as compared to just one housing complex like Supertech Cape Town in Sector 78 in Noida. Now, as compared to 8,550 houses or family living units, a village would have at max of 3,000, 1,500, 8,000 family units. Not as much as Supertech Cape Town. Sector 52 itself would have about, 4,000 family units. So what I'm saying is that the scale of a village can very much be compared to the scale at which design works. These are the calculations of areas and the locations of these villages and settlements as compared to Cape Town and the Sector 52 that we see on the top right hand corner. Now, design-based planning is an approach to rural development in India. Now, this is shown through a village house and then the case of a node. We have just picked up two cases to show what planning freedom or what planning could have done to a space had the space undergone a lot of pressure of development and commercialization and building up as compared to what design does to a space. And we also want to make a point here that whenever we use the tool of planning, the use of amenities, like automobiles and all, they invade into the urban, whether required or not. Planning is more of an economic tool which accommodates, the probing of economies, the moving of economies, the invasion of economy into everything. So road is the carrier and the car is the agency. So an automobile invasion into human settlements has actually eroded all character and human connectivity from our living areas. So the minute we use a planning tool, which and planning guidelines, whether it's URDPFI or any other guideline based on the Delhi Master Plan, as we used to do in our days, or any standard template of planning, we destroy the character. We move human beings to human beings so far apart that the sociological structure, the cultural structure, and every human interaction crumbles to the speed of the intervention, which is such recurrent in these areas. The scale of the human settlements is very complex. And in fact, somewhere else we have used the word agro-urban for agricultural connected urbanization. Now, the only orthodox approach that could be taken would actually destroy the essence of these settlements. That is why these settlements need care. Dujana is a small Gram Panchayat in Dadri, and we chose it because it had a proximity to Noida and Delhi and the NCR and could actually effectively reveal what is happening in the village today and how we can intervene. Now, these are some photographs from Dujana which express how the village is and how it's developing.
The following is an example of a farmer's house in Dujana with a huge backyard which is used for cattle and farm produce storage. The current floor to area ratio is of 0.2. On an average, on an average in a house in the village of Dujana, the floor to area ratio of the houses is 0.2 to 0.5. This could rise to 1.2 through design as is illustrated in the design sample. Design is a policy tool for bringing in stepped terraces. In the following example, the commercial use exists on the ground floor, mixed on the first, and residential on the second. On an average, floor to area ratio of houses in the village is less than 0.5. Here, in this case of house in Dujana, we are demonstrating a functional type of house which can be converted to accommodate more people while retaining its function. If left to policy, with just the rise of floor to area ratio, then the farmer would cover the backyard first and not construct above. The design illustration maintains the open structure.
Now, the considerations for design-based planning as explained by Anjora in the presentation was something wherein we could see that had it been just the increase in FAR because of excessive commercialization, then this whole activity would have stretched on the ground floor itself. The backyard would have been destroyed. Now, every typology, every village house is actually a functional typology. They are big houses, about 450 square yards, 500 square yards, 600 square yards, with a tree, with cows tied down, with place for drying crops, with place for stacking, the agricultural produce. And it's actually a living agricultural factory. So if you actually cover up everything that is at the back, as it was shown in the previous slide here, then that would destroy the house typology. Once the house typology is destroyed, it just becomes a house worthy of living. and not that complex house which can do this and can do this and can do this, something which we know in our planning as mixed land use. So we have to carefully build up design as a tool for planning advocacy. All typologies in a village could be identified and they could be shown. Growth on these typologies could be shown. Once that growth is illustrated to people and once it's explained to them at the level of a Gram Panchayat, or once it's explained to them at the level of a local architect who is appointed to take care of a village or two or three villages in a block, then that thing could be sorted out. So, promotion of mixed use economy, residential areas sustained at upper levels, embellishments proposed to give some kind of character to the village area and its crafts, step terraces, and so on and so forth are these are listed considerations, and then the process is also shown. It is also suggested that we densify our villages rather than increase physical sprawl.
The following illustration is of the Holy Wala Kua, which is an important node in the village of Dujana. Based on the population expansion and growth in the village, a 25-year plan has been illustrated. We can see a gradual addition of floor above houses, roof-to-roof interconnectedness, and an additional floor to the temple to help accommodate the rise in population while maintaining the building footprint. Respecting building footprint, creating interconnected rooftop to generate a movement continuity between households while conserving the essence of the space, etc., are examples of considerations undertaken towards the Holy Wala Kuam. This design-based planning can be converted into a policy.
Now, a natural settlement is a very unique template. Why I call it a unique template? Because it is something which we cannot perceive. A person walks up to a piece of land and says that this is my house. He actually creates a boundary without or with the knowledge of geometry. Brick by brick or in mud, he makes an area which is anthropometrically sufficient for why he is building a house. He selects materials, whatever he finds, and thus everything becomes vernacular because when you have nothing, you choose earth, you choose, shards of wood, you choose whatever you are finding around. And then with that vernacular, through brick or through mud, whatever he is doing, he actually uses it the way he wants. If he wants to make an expansion, he makes an expansion. When it comes to paying some betterment charges, he goes and pays some betterment charges. This freedom is not there to an urbanite. We don't own our properties. They are either on lease or on a freehold, but they are parts of a city. They are extremely stiff geometry. We can't expand by ourselves. And we do not decide how to build. There is a minimum set of space anthropometry that we have to follow for necessary clearances. And the freedom of the villager is something which we cannot perceive. So the self motivation, the self involvement is not there in our houses. We did not build them. We hired people to do it. So with all this uniqueness in a village, complemented by the complex geometry which is thus created by the selection, the self-selection, and the freedom is something that has to be undertaken as a study of human, expression. The guidelines for design-based planning, as in the case of this node, are here. They are mentioned here. That we have to, understand the dynamics of mohallas. We have to understand the functioning of public and private spaces. We have to extend the logic of the build and accentuate the geomorphology. And most of these gathering spaces are on high points of the village, and increasing the number of motifs to have a vernacular, feel is something that we can do. Now, the conclusion of this paper is that village is a template unique to its culture, time, and location. Design is the only possible tool for helping the village develop, and an architect's sensitivity, awareness, and craft is the only agency skilled for this activity. We always feel at UBCT and other platforms and in this conference also that architects must play a role as a junior engineer plays. And the minimum requirement for a person to be working in under the government of India for villages is BArch. It should be BArch. Thank you so much.